with a lot. This is sort of the problem. If you're a hospital with a lot of financial resources that can afford the add-on services, because Cardinal doesn't do it for free. Cardinal doesn't even do it at a discount. There's a charge for it. But it's a very good service. The problem is if you're at the hospital that has the finances to do this, you probably already have the personnel resources who are capable of knowing what to do. If you're not, if you're one of those hospitals that has money to burn, for lack of a better term, if you have one of those, if you're a financially stable hospital with a progressive mindset that wants to expand services but doesn't know how to do it, Cardinal becomes a very good option. If you're a large hospital that has, infectious disease, antibiotic stewardship department, if you have a very robust inventory management service in your hospital, if you have these services already available, then you don't need Cardinal's additional services. But Cardinal is a business. They're always trying to sell more services. So, the downside is that all they need is the right ear to speak to for someone high enough up, and that information will trickle down and create, more work to go back and explain, well, we already have this, we already have that, and we don't need to go put additional resources to this area. It's not a problem. It's just having the consulting services is a double-edged sword from a client side. It can be helpful if you need it. It can be a burden if you don't.
Okay. And then, I guess, what is the platform or the channel that would allow you to voice these kinds of opinions and concerns? Because I know it's some healthcare systems and hospitals, they have formal committees that meet to make decisions on vendors like these. Sometimes there's different kinds of voting systems and whatnot. What does that look like for where you are?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't seen those opportunities at all. I mean, short of having a RFP go out that every company is invited to come in and do a sales pitch, and then I can express opinions at that point. I don't know of a formal feedback process for any of the companies other than speaking to the rep that's assigned to the facility. Okay.
So the RFP goes out, you see the presentations, you mentioned you saw some recently, you give your feedback, and then it sounds like ultimately someone from on high is making the final decision.
Yep.
Okay. That's very helpful. So if you were going to, if you could wave a magic wand and I guess kind of create the ideal, pharma distribution vendor for your operation, what would they look like? And you can, dream as big as you want when you answer this question.
What would they look like?
Like what would they be doing for you? How would they approach you? How would they make your life easier?
I think so. In an unrealistic but wishful thinking world, if it's, I would like a company that had the ability to work with other companies. So the reality is that no one is ever just a one-company hospital. So some hospitals have two companies, primary and secondary, but the more common thing is that you have your primary vendor, but then you've registered, or whatever it's called, it's purchasing and finance. You have agreements or purchasing abilities with other vendors. So there are certain drugs that I can buy from McKesson, for example, but I'm required that I buy it directly from the manufacturer for GPO contracting purposes. There may be a certain drug that the GPO has contracted with this company to get this particular price, which is going to beat the field. But the company, the manufacturer, refuses